Welcome to this, what I think is a very special opportunity for the Board of Governors of the University and Board of the Alumni Association. My name's Tom Flaherty. I have the privilege of currently serving as the Chairman of the Board of Governors of the University. And along with Woody Thrasher, who I think just came in, we welcome you to this joint meeting and what I think is going to be very special on the Student Athlete Speak Out program. As many of you know, that program was started over 2 decades ago by Dr. Carolyn Atkins. Carolyn is a Case Professor of the Year in the WVU Department of Communication Sciences and Disorders. While enrolled in her effective public speaking course, student athletes develop inspirational speeches on topics such as adversity, academics, athletics, advice, and attitudes. After the speeches are developed in class, Dr. Atkins and the athletes travel around area schools and children's hospital. They interact with the other students and the patients and share their speeches and do likewise with the community. They also do formal presentations of their speeches, and that's what we're here for today. This is actually part of their assignment. They're getting graded on it, so be nice to them. Let me talk to you a little bit about Dr. Atkins, or as I kind of think of her as Billy Atkins' greatest decision in life in marrying her. Dr. Atkins, she'll introduce each student before they start, but Carolyn began her career as an instructor here at WVU my senior year, 1970, and joined the faculty full-time in 1978. She has received numerous awards. We would be here all afternoon if I list them all, but let me take you through some of those in addition to her being a Case Professor of the Year. They include a WVU Foundation Award for Outstanding Teacher, the College of Human Resources and Education Award for Outstanding Teaching, the Golden Key International Honor Society Golden Apple Award for Outstanding Teaching. Thank you. I won't have to yell as much. She was selected as the most loyal faculty Mountaineer in 2002. She received the college's Laddie Bell Award for Distinguished Service in both 2004 and again in 2014. She was inducted into Mountain Honorary as an associate member. She was the 2006 Italian American Woman of the Year at the Clarksburg Italian Festival. In 2009, she received the WVU Student Affairs Outstanding Achievement Award, and in fact was honorary captain of the WVU volleyball team in 2010 for the inaugural Big 12 basketball game in 2013. So that's just touching the surface. There's a whole list of them, but we'll never get to hear these great students speak if I list them all. Carolyn, I'm going to have you come up, and if you would introduce your students, and we're really looking forward to this, guys.
Well, welcome to Student Athletes Speak Out. And some of you today who are here, I know have been with me since the beginning. I have a couple colleagues who are here. My husband, Bill, has never missed one of these since 1990. And all of the speakers, as Tom said, are in my effective public speaking class. And we talked about that next door. Over 300 students a semester take it. Now, I just want to move forward, but before I do, I just want to say that this is a collaborative effort, and I want to thank some people who helped me do this. Jennifer Fisher, certainly first and foremost, Executive Officer and Assistant Secretary to the BOG, and Valerie Lopez, Special Assistant to the BOG, Mary Kinsley, who's the Assistant Director here of the Alumni Center, and President Gee and Provost McConnell are always supporters, and I really value that. There's some members of the athletic department that I want to thank, Kathy Martin and Joe Swan, who always help me with the arrangements, and of course Mike Fergale's Sports Information Office. And today we have Greg Schock and a couple of his helpers here, and they're going to, Brett and Kyle, they're his assistants, and they're live streaming this for us today, which was why we wanted to be sure that we started at 1 o'clock, so that schools around the state can tune in and watch this. As a matter of fact, last semester I had a student from Australia and her parents were able to watch it live as she presented the speech. So we appreciate that. It will be on sayso.wvu.edu, my website. It's a character education website that's targeted to middle school students. So if you know somebody who's interested, they didn't get to see it, certainly have them go to that website. Now, that being said, I forgot one thing yesterday, or next door, not yesterday, it's still the same day, and that is I want to thank my dean, Gypsy Denzine. She has always been supportive, is here, my department chair is here, my colleagues are here, and Gypsy always is willing to pay for the veteran shirt that Jeff wore today. We always get somebody to do that because I think they need to have an identity, and you'll see that my athletes have one too, so that when we go out to speak, it's obvious who they are. And the back of their shirts say character.own it, and that's really what the program is all about. Now, I have 3 student athletes who cannot wait to begin, so I'm going to get started by introducing them. And the first one is Logan Wilson. Logan is a freshman wrestler from Bethesda, Maryland. At DeMatha Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland, he was captain of the wrestling team in both his junior and senior years. He holds the Maryland State freestyle title for 145 pounds. He went 183 and 34 during his high school career and 41 and 1 as a senior. He's majoring in recreation, parks, and tourism resources and hopes to have a job someday as a game warden, so you might see him somewhere. The title of Logan's speech is Learning from Adversity. Logan?
It was during the summer after 8th grade when I began feeling fatigued. I just figured that I needed to get more rest. However, the summer progressed and I wasn't feeling any better. I noticed it especially when I couldn't lift the weights that I had been lifting the week before. I was working out, but I was getting weaker. The doctor diagnosed me initially with walking pneumonia and then, later, the flu. In addition, I had a severe rash all over my body and in my mouth, and none of the dermatologists were able to diagnose the problem. For about a month, I experienced fevers that were accompanied by headaches. Returning to the doctor, I was diagnosed with costochondritis, which is the swelling of the breastplate. 2 weeks later, after sitting in ice baths for 3 nights, I went to the hospital with a fever of 105 degrees and a terrible migraine. I would spend the next 16 days in Children's Hospital in Washington, D.C. On the 9th day, I was diagnosed with Lyme's disease, which, because it was untreated for 8 to 12 weeks, had progressed into bacterial meningitis. Despite all the dramatic things that were going on around me in my 16 days during Children's Hospital, I managed to stay positive and as strong as possible. I'm reminded of the quotation that you never know how strong you are until strong is the only option you have. This is what I learned from my experience. First, I learned that sometimes we value most the things that happen in our darkest times. I valued all my nurses who helped me around the clock. I valued the doctors who saved my life. However, I valued most the selfishness of my father, who stayed with me the entire time and who helped me to find hope during one of my darkest times. Second, I learned that we should always count our blessings, no matter the circumstances. You never really know what's so great about your life until what it is that you love is taken away. Then you instantly miss it because it's gone. For me, I didn't realize how much I loved just being outside and looking at nature and enjoying the smells embedded in it. So, on the 11th day, my dad and I finally convinced one of the nurses to help me outside. I had to sit in a wheelchair because I was too weak to walk. I will never forget when I hit the door. It was like I traveled from one world to another. One that was filled with life and fragrance and color. If not for my dad convincing the nurse, I would not have had that opportunity. I was able to see the outside differently than I ever had before, and I owe that new appreciation to my father. Third, I learned that parents often do amazing things for their children that are completely selfless. thinking only what's in the best interest for their child. First, there was my dad. He could have very well gone home and slept in his own bed and not had to eat at the hospital cafeteria. He didn't expect anything in return or want anything, just to be there for me. My mom visited the hospital frequently, but she continued to work and take care of my older brother, Shane. She would bring him to see me. She always offered to spend the night so my dad could get a break and go home, sleep in his own bed, but my dad always refused. It's taught me to realize that parents do everything for me because of love and what they think is best. So when we disagree on certain topics, rather than getting angry, I keep that in mind. As my dad said, my first job is not to be your best friend. The most important thing for me to do is to raise you to the best of my abilities to help you to become a good person. In conclusion, going through this painful experience, among other things, I learned about the importance of hope and faith. I remember praying some nights that I would just live long enough to see the morning. I was scared, but I had faith. This quotation really sums up my experience. Hope is being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, despite all the darkness. Thank you.
Next, we have Michael Grove, who's number 2 on the WVU baseball team. He's a sophomore from Wheeling, and this right-handed pitcher was named to the 2014 West Virginia Sports Writers Association All-State First Team and 2013 Honorable Mention Team. He garnered the 2014 Ohio Valley Athletic Conference Player of the Year, and he was ranked the number 2 player in West Virginia by Prep Baseball Report. He also was named to the 2015 Atlantic Region Honorable Mention All-America Team by Perfect Game. He's a member of the Dean's List and the West Virginia University Garrett Ford Academic Honor Roll. He's majoring in finance, and the title of Michael's speech is Living the Creed.
High school football is a one-of-a-kind experience, especially in a small, blue-collar town. It's almost a way of life, and Friday nights are when the city comes alive. During my years of playing high school football and hockey, and baseball here at WVU, I have learned many lessons that have gone beyond the X's and O's. My high school football coach, Chris Doherty, is a guy who exemplified exactly what a high school coach should be. We didn't have many D1 superstars. I never won a state championship, and I don't even play football today. But those 4 years changed me in ways for which I can never express enough gratitude. First, he taught us to leave our personal goals at the door. I learned accountability and to own up to instead of finding something to blame for my mistakes. I now understand that some people will go to the ends of the earth to justify their actions. Instead, I learned to swallow my pride and take responsibility. So, when we watched game film, and it was obvious that I hadn't done my job, I got it. It was on me, nobody else. Fortunately, that lesson has been carried on into college baseball with my new coaching staff and my head coach, Randy Mazey. From the first time we met as a team, we had to learn our team creed. It goes, I am a Mountaineer. I'm proud to wear the gold and blue. I represent my school, my family, then myself. I do not take credit for my successes, nor lay blame for my defeats. I make a solemn promise to my coaches and teammates to become the best possible player I can be. I will give every ounce of energy to WVU until the day is done. I am a Mountaineer. We also live by an acronym, which is PHACE, P-H-A-C-E. And those letters stand for pride, humble confidence, accountability, commitment, and energy. These two things are both intertwined, and they emphasize the idea of team before self, and at the same time, believing in your abilities, but having humility. Another lesson, and maybe the most important one that I learned, is I have to control what I can control. Growing up, my favorite baseball player was Derek Jeter. Although he was never the most athletically superior or athletically gifted player, he did the right things on and off the field. For example, he was an unbelievable leader. He was respected around the league, and his nickname even became the captain. It was never about him, it was always about his team. And this is an example of someone who may have not had the skills, but he's now a first ballot Hall of Famer. Finally, the third thing I learned about playing sports is just to enjoy every minute of the game. When I think about Jose Fernandez and all the stories that went around on ESPN and on the internet, the common denominator was he just enjoyed every second playing the game. You saw him always with a smile on his face, excited, and he loved it. And I find that when I do enjoy the game, then I never take it home with me. So, given the current world situation and the political scene, it's nice to have something that is polarizing and brings people together, maybe even lifting up a city. Sports embodies the very spirit of commitment and competitiveness. It leads to friendships, brotherhood, and memories that will last forever. So, in conclusion, when I think of how sports influence life, I think that Derek Jeter said it best. Obviously, you're known for what you do, but you still want to be a good person. You're a person a lot longer before and after you're a professional athlete. Thank you.
And our final speaker is someone you'll probably see on the field tomorrow. It's Kahari Sharif, a redshirt senior from Houston, Texas. This number 7 is a cornerback who has played at safety and on special teams. In 2015, he earned all Big 12 academic first team honors, and he was named to the Big 12 Commissioner's Honor Roll and also to the WVU Garrett Ford Academic Honor Roll. He graduated this past spring, actually, with a bachelor's degree in multidisciplinary studies, and he's currently pursuing a second bachelor's degree in political science. And according to Coach Dana Holgerson, he personifies what WVU football players should be in every area of their lives, and I agree with that. The title of Kahari's speech is 24 Hours.
She actually forgot accolade, but I'm not gonna speak on myself. How many of you had a dream growing up? Carl Sandburg said, "Nothing happens unless first we dream." Let me tell you about a story about a young man from Houston and his dream and how hard work and perseverance helped him achieve his goal. His dream began when he was 6 years old and he played Little League football for the East Bethel Cowboys. He was from Houston, and of course, the Texans wasn't around at the time, so he was a Cowboys fan. Hate to say that now. But, I mean, I played for the East Bethel Cowboys, and Dallas Cowboys was my favorite team growing up. He and his friends would play football every Saturday and afterwards have a cookout. And after practice on Mondays, they would watch Monday Night Football. They grew up in the same neighborhood. They went to the same school. They were already a team. They trusted each other. They cared about each other. And then they had each other's back. The little boy didn't realize it then, but he would want more of that team feeling. However, as much as he loved being a part of a team, there was a point in his life when he didn't have that feeling. There was a time that he didn't understand the meaning of perseverance. When he was about 7, he was really into Taekwondo. However, when he sustained an injury, he wanted to quit. His mother had talked to him about believing in himself. She quoted some songs from the late artist Aaliyah. The lyrics went like this: "At first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. You can dust yourself off and try again, try again." Those lyrics were embedded in his memory. It wasn't easy because he was undersized and did not have the eye-popping numbers or stats, but he had a work ethic unmatched. In high school, he played safety and had a pretty good career. Therefore, he was shocked that he did not receive any offers from a college. On signing day, he felt left out, especially with his own brother and former teammates signing to other schools. He thought about becoming a firefighter, but again, his mother reminded him about persevering and believing in himself. She told me to give junior college a try, and so he did. Unfortunately, it was far away. It was in California. Unfortunately, there was no team feeling, and so he left after his first semester. He enjoyed the second junior college in Cisco, Texas in 2013, but eventually they ended too. So in 2014, he enrolled in Houston Community College and got a job. That's when a former coach suggested that he walk on at WVU. The young man accepted the challenge. It was a last-minute decision, but probably one of the best ones he made in his life. The young man faced a lot of adversity to get there, and a little bit more adversity once he got there. But he continued to work hard and persevere, 24 hours at a time. As a result, he received a full scholarship before his senior year and is currently still working hard for his dream. Now, just in case you haven't realized it, that young man is me. What did I learn from my experience? Well, like the late great coach Vince Lombardi said, football is like life. It requires perseverance, self-discipline, hard work, sacrifice, dedication, and respect for authority. I am sure many of you have heard that there is no substitute for hard work and perseverance. And yes, I know they're not necessarily fun, appealing, or easy, but they are necessary to make dreams become realities. So I'll leave you with a quote from motivational guru Eric Thomas. Don't think about what can happen in a month. Don't think about what can happen in a year. Just focus on the 24 hours in front of you and do what you can to get closer to where you want to be. Thank you.
Okay, this is the accolade I forgot. Here, come here. Tell him. I don't want to make any mistake. No, just say it.
I was the defensive champion for the Youngstown State game this past season.
Unfortunately, I was sitting in the front row, but I know if I could have seen your faces when he talks, I find people smile. There's just a smile. He's got a real presence, and so I can understand why he's a leader on the team. All right, so that's my class.